Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Free Thinkers. I'm your host, Q. and we're going to have some interesting people come in. And we're going to do a short one this time. I don't know. I think we're consistently tired all the time between me and Nikki just doing life stuff. And we like, oh, you want to do it? And I'm the type of person, I do not want to skip a week unless we absolutely have to. But that don't mean we can't do a condensed version. So keep in mind, if you want to join, just find a link. It's there on the on our Facebook page. Keep in mind, if you're not connected to the page, make sure you join the page. There's good conversation that goes on all throughout the week. There's also a YouTube page, so make sure if you are already connected to the YouTube page that you also if you're connected to the Facebook page, that you also go to the YouTube page as well. If you want to join, just click on the StreamYard link. If you've never done it before, it's very simple. Just click on it. It'll give you a couple instructions. We let you in and then you get ready to talk. Just make sure you got something in your ears so that the sound doesn't bleed into one another. Also, keep in mind that we do talk about adult content and there is adult language. So keep that in mind as well. But outside of that, just come join us, be a part of it. If you like it, share it. But most importantly, if you are listening, give us some type of comment. Let us know that you're around so that the algorithms cannot totally trick us. All right. So we're going to like I said, we're going to go real quick. It's only a couple things that we're going to get in today, and then we're going to move around. It was something before we get into our main topic, there was something. Oh, I think I need to pull this up because I think
it relates to you. I honestly think it all goes.
You think
together.
so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see if it relates or how it relates. Or maybe it depends on what your thoughts are about it. I think my thoughts may be a little bit different.
Okay.
But I don't know. We're gonna find out. But let me I need to pull it. Oh, I don't think Nikki got a chance to pull it up. I don't think she was gonna post it on the page. Oh, yes, she did. Okay, so one of the things that we were talking about on Free Thinkers on the group page throughout the week, a little bit of a longer read. So let me go down and I'm gonna read this real quick for those who can't see it. So WNBA superstar Aja Wilson said the elephant in the room when it comes to the enormous popularity of Caitlin Clark is the fact that she is a white woman. Oh, elephant in the room. Wow. You know what? I got something to say about that too. That's interesting already, because it ain't like Caitlin Clark is alone as being she's the sole white woman in WNBA. You can argue the best player of all time is already white in the WNBA, who is Diana Taurasi. That's what's about. I'm about to get into that in a second. That is what gets on my nerve, because people see clips like this and they make assumptions even when they don't follow the sport. If you follow the sport, Diana Taurasi is probably the best women's player of all time, and she's already white. So why are you already making this a white and black thing? Anyway, let me finish.
Of all time?
Do you know who Diana Taurasi is?
I don't, but I will say
that's what I'm saying.
Let me start by saying, what's up, Huguenot? Let me start by saying,
what's happening?
I watched the old 1997 WNBA. Like
Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, Tina Thompson. Houston Comets don't even exist anymore, but yes.
The what's her name? The coach who's the coach for the championship team.
Dawn Staley.
They were all, to me, in my mind, maybe because I was younger, I'm not really sure, but they were all dogs back then.
Oh yeah, they were. And Dawn Staley was one of my favorite first, because she was short and she was light skinned and she could play basketball, and I liked her. But even besides that, Dawn Staley, she is a Hall of Famer. She's one of the greats. She's not on the level of a lot of these people. She was a great defender. She was a different type of point guard. I don't even know how much y'all know about basketball. Point guards, men or women's basketball back in the 80s and 90s, were the total opposite of this, not just short. It wasn't, they were shorter, but it wasn't about being short. It was about you were the distributor. You ran the
Yeah.
offense, made sure everyone was where they were supposed to be. Point
Break that
guards
down
were
for people who
absolutely,
don't know, Q, what offense is. Like you're the one who, you got to break it
you're the
down in
one
layman's terms. Everybody
score.
ain't played sports
Yes.
before.
When
He
it's
ain't
your
the only
turn to
one.
score, then you're the one. Offense is when you score, defense is when you defend or stop the other team from scoring. So when you're offense, the point guard's job in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, all the way up until the Iverson age, pretty much, point guards were not
Mm-hmm.
those scorers who dominated the game. They were the one who passed it to what you call the shooting guards or the centers or the big men. They were the one who got everyone in place, got them the ball in the right places so that they could shoot their shot. But they were not designed to score 25, 30 points a game and be the leading scorer like they are now. So anyway, Dawn Staley was a quintessential point guard of that era. She was very good as a point guard, but she was nowhere on the level of a lot of these players now. Just like in that 70s, 80s, and 90s, the game has evolved, and you have a lot of people who are much more skilled, much better shooters, better ball handlers, so forth like that. So anyway, Dawn Staley, yes, she is an all-time great, but there's a lot of people who would be considered greater than she is. So anyway, let me finish reading this. In an interview with the Associated Press, Wilson said there was a race element to Clark's monumental popularity. Duh. So what? I think it's a huge thing. I think a lot of people may say it's not about black and white, but to me it is. Wilson says it's really because you can be top notch at what you are as a black woman, but yet maybe that's something that people don't want to see. They don't see it as marketable, so it doesn't matter how hard I work. It doesn't matter what we do as black women. Oh, now it's a woman thing also. Okay. We're still going to get swept underneath the rug. That's why it boils my blood when people say it's not about race, because it is. To further Wilson's point, Clark inked a $28 million Nike shoe deal before she even shot a single ball for the WNBA. Whereas Wilson had dominated the sport for the past decade prior to getting her deal. In fact, the only woman in the WNBA with a Nike deal were white women in a sport overwhelmingly dominated by black females. Ooh, that's a lot to unpack. However, it isn't
I didn't
far
know
from.
that.
I have to check into that. I had to see with Candace Parker too.
Brittany
Anyway,
Griner, yeah, Candace Parker, Brittany Griner.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. This race baiting material. And it sounds like certain thing you ain't fact checked all of this stuff.
But
That's a
I
lot
don't
to
know, because
unpack.
I don't know if they got deals. I'm just saying they would be shocking if they never got
I would be highly surprised if
a
Candace
shoe deal
Parker,
of some sort.
Lisa Leslie, Maya Moore, or Brittany Griner never got a deal. I would be highly, highly surprised, but I'll look into that. However, it isn't far from what a lot of seasoned sports fans have said. There are many, many black players in the WNBA with tons of accolades and accomplishments, yet when Caitlyn's stats are read, some in white America act like Caitlyn is the first to do it. Caitlyn is an amazing player, and it's not her fault some aren't impressed or turned off by the hype. The blame lies with those with the blinders who have no clue of the accomplishments of women who have paved the path for Caitlyn possible. Okay, so that's the post. Denise, what do you think about
see
that,
me
Denise?
thinking? You see me thinking over here?
Nah, I figured you was first one that may have some type of feedback to that.
I do. So here's a few things.
Okay.
Black woman, I feel you. I'm gonna start by saying, Black woman, I feel you. What's her name?
Aja Wilson.
Aja Wilson. My love, I feel you. I understand. I'm a black woman. I understand how this goes. Now let me proceed. Somebody said this recently, and I thought it was so funny. I think it was in the Tom Brady roast. They were like, white people haven't had a win in a long time. They are looking for their great white hope right now. White people ain't had a W in a long ass time. They need the W. They want to bring the W home. It's always since we went through like this whole like, you know, renaissance of like wokeness. It's like being like white. It just is like you can't. It's like you can't be white right now. I'm in no way trying to make anyone feel sorry for white people right now. As crazy as this sounds, right? So, but I'm saying all that to provide context for what is going on with Caitlin Clark. She is a dog. From my understanding, she's really good. I don't know because I'm not watching women's basketball. I haven't watched since the 90s with all them dogs that they had back then. That was just crazy, right? And so, but from my understanding, she's really good. However, and the contrary is her team didn't win this year. Her team didn't win last year. And the winning teams, the people who am I wrong? Is that what happened? Her team
yes, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Well, I thought she
No, you're right about well, I'm projecting on what I thought you were about to say. You're right. Her team did not win last year or this year.
The last 2 years,
so
right? Okay.
But what I was gonna say, you're wrong about if you're going down that road, you're wrong about that makes no difference about popularity and projection and who's the best.
No.
Go ahead.
So the point, so this situation with Caitlin Clark, there's a point of contention here because the year before last, when was it LSU won with Angel Reese and all them? Am I correct in this? So
yes,
when Angel Reese and LSU won, which their main star players were Black players, anytime I think it's all college like championship winners or whatever, they get invited to the White House. They also invited Caitlin Clark's team, and this had never happened in the history of ever, but they invited who? The white woman, because they want her to win so bad. And even though she wasn't on a winning team, she was invited. So the point of contention really starts there.
Hold on. They didn't invite her, but Jill Biden, President Biden's wife, suggested that they should invite both teams. And she got major backlash from that. I don't know if she apologized or not, but they
didn't care the year before or the year before or the year before or the year before or the year before.
No. It was a lot of backlash. All I'm saying is I'm just correcting go ahead. I'm correcting you because they were not invited to the White House. That's what I'm saying.
Your wife comes to you today and says, Q, we should invite Nikki Anthony's to the house. Is that not her pretty much saying, invite your friends to the house?
You're invited.
Is that not an invitation?
No, it wasn't.
Backlash.
So
she got backlash, so she had to double back on it, but that's an invitation.
No, she got backlash at the suggestion. The Iowa team was never invited to the White House, but Jill Biden, the older white woman, the wife of the president, suggested that, and she got backlash. I'm not defending it. I'm saying it was wrong too. I'm just saying that I want to make sure that you get the facts straight. They were never invited.
To be clear on the facts, so they weren't technically invited, but y'all, viewership, put it together how you want to put it together.
Everything I'm reading says Jill Biden wants to invite Iowa to the White House. You can't get in without an invitation, baby.
That's what I said. They were never invited to the White House. All I'm doing is stating facts. Go ahead.
They were technically not invited, but there was a suggestion made that maybe
a woman of prominence made that suggestion.
The woman who lives in the house. The woman who lives in the house.
A woman of power. Right. I said a woman of power.
Hold on, let's not harp on this. So the point is this. The point of contention really starts there. So then she doesn't win. And then there's all this stuff. whenever the black girls, Angel Reese, I forgot her other teammate's name, whenever they were being competitive like men are in sports, and they talk shit like most of the dogs of all sports do, Kobe, Kevin Garnett, like all these guys from back in the days when I used to watch basketball, everybody, like, it's okay for men to talk shit, and it's okay for apparently now white women to talk shit, but then when the black girls do it, it's they're not sportsmen, like this is that all these things, right? So this is all building, right? So this is just the first year where she didn't win, but she made it to the playoffs and all that, but she didn't win the championship game. The next year, the girls on that team, the main players, black girls. The stars of that team, black girls. This is Iowa, not Iowa. Who's the
South Carolina?
South Carolina, black girls. Coach, black woman, right?
Correct.
They win, and it's still all about Caitlin Clark. So now let's bring it to today. Today, I'm not saying, like, I mean, there's some times where, you know, you might be the star player and you don't win the championship. The championship doesn't mean that you're the best player necessarily, but come on now. I mean, LeBron hasn't won in so long and they still talk about him, but he's also on the far end of his career. He's also on the far end of his career, right?
You making the opposite point right there. I hope you understand.
But I have to acknowledge that, because I can't just blindly go in one direction, right? Because then I'm just being crazy. So sometimes you can be the star player and not necessarily bring the ring home. But I get where these ladies are going. But I'm just saying all that to say, when you set the scene, you can understand why she made that comment. But then you can also understand why white people are rallying behind this woman right now. Because the fact of the matter is, Q, you're in sales. You already know what it is. When it comes to sales and marketing and all that, you want to see someone who you can see yourself in. And when you can see yourself in someone, you're going to support it even more. That's just the truth of the matter. And it's unfortunate, but that's the world that we live in. Because guess what? When I see a black woman out there doing her thing, I relate to that shit and I want to support it. It just kind of is what it is. So I'm kind of mixed on it, but I get both sides of why this is happening like this. If you just look at it logically, that's my take. Shout out to the black ladies out there being great.
I got it. Nikki, what you think?
I mean, I just really started reading up on this earlier today. And I don't follow sports, but LSU made me want to fucking watch women's basketball. Those girls made me want to watch basketball. And then watching them Carolina girls made me want to watch basketball. I don't watch sports, but watching them out there do their thing, I was like, this is fucking exciting. Like, this is, I mean, this was definitely something that you also can't deny is blatantly in our fucking face. Like, you know, and I'm glad that you brought up the not invitation to the White House, because I kind of forgot that happened. And so when you said that, I was like, you're fucking right. I remember when that happened last year. And of course, the uproar, right, around never did the losing team ever get invited to the White House. And kudos to the girls who said, fuck that, I'm not going. Shout out to LSU, who was like, no, I'm good. So, you know, to Denise's point, you can't deny what's in your face. There's nothing wrong with having your token player who just might happen to be a white girl, and that's just how you get down. But like, you can't deny you just can't deny the obvious, that like she's under a fucking magnifying glass and every color highlighter in the box, right? When in fact, yeah, she's really fucking good. I'll give her credit. She's phenomenal on that court. There's no doubt about that. And that doesn't mean she shouldn't get her shine. But it just, you definitely can't deny you just can't deny some of the shit that you see, really. So that was my first time listening to the whole article being read out. So in just trying to process what she said, I don't have a problem with what was said. I don't. And I'll be the first one to be honest about what I see and what it looks like, especially coming from a white woman's perspective, looking at this or trying to look at this objectively, right? What'd you say?
You remember we gave the evaluation of you. We asked if you had any bias, and we said you had bias against white people.
No. I'm just not gonna sit here and act like it ain't what it is. You know what I mean? No. So that's really my take on it. I don't have a problem with what was said. I don't have a problem with how Black women may feel about what was said or the support behind the writer and what was said. Not at all.
Okay. Yehukanan, if you're there and you're available to talk, then
yeah, I'm here.
Jump in. I don't know if you can. Okay. What's your thoughts, sir?
In regards to the article?
Yes. Or just whatever your thoughts are. Is the article directly, the argument? Do you believe that it's valid? Just tell us what you think about that.
Well, as far as Aja Wilson is concerned, she does have a valid point, because you got to remember that the top dog in the WNBA right now is the Las Vegas Aces. They've won championship 2 out of the last 3 years, and Caitlin Clark, who have set NCAA records for scoring and has received all the attention as far as her skill set, which I ain't gonna front. When she lost to LSU that previous year, she came back firing on all cylinders. She was virtually unstoppable offensively.
Wow.
Defensively, though, that's still up in the air. So when she transitioned to the WNBA, as far as what I'm seeing, I mean, I don't follow it like that, but as far as what I'm seeing, it hasn't been very kind to her as far as her transition to the game, her stature, her feel for it. It's a whole different animal, which I'm pretty sure if she's able to make the adjustment as far as her rookie season, because she's getting beat up basically in the WNBA. Like it's a whole nother animal. Her passes is not going the way that it's supposed to go. Her shot is there, but she's not looking for the screen when it comes. She getting blindsided by the screens when it's set. She just not favored too well. But if she perseveres, I'm pretty sure she's going to be one of the great WNBA players. In regards to the article, I mean, Aja has a point in regards to how the minority or the women that is in the WNBA, which is primarily dominated by Black women, are overlooked in a lot of ways. And then, the narrative is that they have to work 10 times harder just to get the type of recognition that is needed for them to be like, we basically built this from the ground up. You mentioned something about the Houston Comets and, who started the WNBA primarily. When the Houston Comets won the first 3 WNBA championships, they were primarily a Black squad. And the Black women dominated the as far as the sport. Or if you look at the Olympic team, the Olympic team was primarily dominated by Black women as far as being on the roster. So you don't there is a disparity
in America,
there.
Yes. In America, yes.
There's I wasn't going to get to that. I was going to say there's a disparity there in regards to the salary that the women receive in the WNBA as far as their male counterparts. So to have Caitlin Clark receive this $28 million Nike endorsement deal because her salary is like $600,000 or so as far as her rookie deal, that's a win in her situation. So I was just making the argument like, we getting paid, not that much as well, whereas our endorsement deals are covered in because I read an article recently or saw something recently that now that the WNBA teams are starting to have charter flights because they didn't have charter flights before, like the NBA team. So they started to incorporate that. Nikki mentioned something about LSU because I'll be frank with you. I mean, I do follow sports, but the WNBA hasn't been as exciting. Or I would say, as far as women's basketball, I would say that's why you have a lot of NBA players. In case people don't know, shout out to the late great Kobe Bryant that advocates for women's basketball, or at least getting that recognition. And there are a few NBA players is like, yo, like these sisters out here balling, doing their thing, and they are. I've actually seen a video of a female taking this dude to school, and she was just shooting the ball on him like like it was nothing. So the point is that the women's basketball is starting to gain momentum, especially when you have like what they call her, Angel Reese. They call her the Baton Rouge Barbie or something like that. Starting to gain ground and momentum, because you had that fierce competitiveness in the NCAA tournament for the women's, and it was gaining ground when you had the next great thing as far as Caitlin Clark and then Angel Reese, and them two going head to head and back and forth. It gave a lot of viewership to women's basketball. If you guys are probably not familiar with the stats, but that the NCAA, I would say, championship game last year got like got quite a bit of views that normally wouldn't get for a women's basketball game.
Mm-hmm.
But to sum it up, I think Aja Wilson's argument should be level across the board as far as the endorsement deals, the recognition, as opposed to one person that basically came into the NBA and hasn't earned their stripes yet, as opposed to somebody that's been there for 10 years. That's like somebody, you working at a job for 10, 12 years or so, somebody come in 2 or 3 years and they get promoted to a supervisor position over you. I'm pretty sure you're going to feel a little bit salty about that. Are you with that?
Well, can I respond to that, Yuganon? I will say, to be fair, it's not quite that. I get where you're going in terms of like the promotion thing, but it's not like the WNBA is giving her this money. Like Nike is giving her this money. I would say this overall, I think right now is not the time to have this conversation, in my opinion. Right now is not the time to have this conversation, because I was talking to my partner about this. The NBA actually funds the WNBA because the WNBA is not profitable. So the WNBA is not going to make the kind of money that the NBA makes, because people don't watch the WNBA like that, because people are not interested in the WNBA like that. So I think right now is maybe not the time to have this conversation, because people's eyes are on the sport right now. So now that people have their eyes on the sport, this is an opportunity for not only Caitlin Clark to shine, but some of the other players to start getting some shine. Like, appreciate the fact that, maybe people are watching because she's white. All right, fine. That's what it is. But then now you have eyes on the sport, which means you can start getting more advertisements, which then means at some point the women can start getting paid more. So, I mean, also they have, like, from my understanding, like, they have shorter seasons and stuff like that too. So that's the whole thing. Like, I get what she's saying. Don't think it's really the right time to be saying it. It's actually going to be beneficial in the long run, because now she's setting the precedent for like, oh, this is how much money you can get. Okay, so then maybe Adidas is going to come and try to give Angel Reese a deal, and maybe they'll give her a certain number, and you can start negotiating things now. So I think I get it, but it's just, I don't know if it's the time to talk about it.
So hold on a second. And yeah, I'm writing down all this stuff because I want to respond to it. But Chevis, I don't know if you're available to talk, Chevis, but you know what, Chevis? I've only met you here on Freethinkers, but I feel like I saw you at Gold's Gym. I think I played ball with you at Gold's Gym before. When it comes to basketball, then I just have a different type of memory. I don't know if I did or not, but what do you think about it, Chevis?
Can y'all hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir.
I was gonna stay out of the conversation on this one, because I got a pretty concrete opinion. I mean,
That's why we want you here.
I want to hear it.
Did you not come for a reason?
I don't know for sure.
I came because I hadn't participated in a while, so I wanted to hear the dialogue. But to be honest,
I mean, Gold's Gym before, sir?
Years ago, I'm at Planet Fitness now.
Okay, yeah, I think I did. I remember you. You can ball, can't you? You can ball, can't you?
I used to, man. I used to. You know,
I remember you now. I remember because
that's so funny. I'm so damn small.
Yeah, man. I mean, Goals got 24-hour access, so you know, I used to hoop and do my thing in there. But I'll say this, man. Because again, I don't want to negatively impact the listeners or the contribution, but you could say this, man. When Cap took a knee, I left the stadium. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The history of sports ain't nothing but slave. You know, the history of sports ain't nothing but gladiator activities from the days of Roman captivity. So, you know, I could feel the disparity, blah, 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 but ain't no changing it. Ain't no changing it. When it comes to what Asia said about Caitlin, I think she was spot on. And I think Black women and Latino women have a right to speak up and speak out. But I also think it's kind of hard to be on somebody once they make that initial transition. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't expect somebody in the first couple of weeks to jump out the gym. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a tough transition. I just don't think I don't see why we as American people we continue to expect so much out of sports. You know what I mean? The patriarchy continues. The disparities exacerbate themselves. You know, Shaq even said it. The women don't make the money because the jerseys ain't selling like the men. And so how do we implore everyday people to go and buy WNBA jerseys when jersey sales are lower than they were? You know what I mean? It's just hard for me to really dig. You know, really embrace it. I'm just like, okay, well. You know, we years ago, 20 years ago, Cynthia Cooper was the best player in the WNBA. Cheryl Swoops, Lisa Leslie had every reason for the sports to be somewhat aligned. But the truth is, we didn't know. We don't know the half that we don't know. We don't know these jersey sales and these TV watches or what's fueling these games. You know what I mean? And then. And again, I don't want to hurt nobody, but these organizations, these sports organizations, are run by white supremacy at the end of the day. So what we really going, you know, what are we really putting our money into? What are we really investing our time to? We love to put our kids in sports, and then by the time they get to be 17 or 18, their hearts are broken because those are extremely competitive spaces. You know what I'm saying? I still know brothers in East Austin fighting over basketball and ain't played at LBJ in 20 years. And so when it comes to the fairness of the sport and the combative nature of these comments with these girls coming into the league like this, yeah, I think it's unfair. But again, what can we expect? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can we really expect? We see how the boxing world is loving this banter between Gervonta and Ryan and just pitting these guys together. You know what I mean? So what's the difference between, you know, Asia and Caitlin? You know what I mean? Like, Asia could have extended her leadership and said, hey, we embrace that girl coming into the game and she gonna help us all do our thing. But she decided to be honest and shit. I can appreciate the honesty, but I don't think anything is going to change. I don't think we haven't gotten any change from all the votes. We haven't gotten any change in education. I don't know if y'all know about Project 2025. Trump gonna get into election. He gonna do away with the Department of Education, the Department of Labor, the Department of Urban Development, the Department of Statistics. The NBA and the WNBA gonna be the last things that we need to worry about. We are under attack here in America, and they love for us to be blinded by sports, leisure, entertainment, and more. And it's coming to a day, especially as we move into a cashless society, where it's none of that shit my fault. None of that stuff really gonna matter. You know what I mean? It's gonna be my fault. You know,
Well, no, you
Where he
good.
was,
You
apparently,
ain't.
I
You
don't
I'm
good.
know.
talking like a Death Row album.
No. I mean, I guess you ain't heard
I'm-
Nikki talking on here in a long time. And yeah, Shavis, you wasn't on here. We actually a few weeks ago we had a whole conversation about shit. So that word got dropped about 135
Oh, yeah.
times.
Literally,
A few weeks
a
ago.
good conversation.
Literally.
We had a whole poop conversation. But anyway, go ahead, sir.
I just, I think we're gonna continue to see, these harmful outcomes, these harmful takeaways. You know what I mean? And it's gonna leave us in a blur. But I'll say this, especially here in America, and as cliche as it sounds, and I'm not trying to just be appealing, but it's time for us as men and women to drop the disparities and simply come back together. Like Ice Cube. Ice Cube was trying to get Caitlyn and some other women to join the league and make it a co-ed kind of thing. You know what I mean? And even though that was a radical idea, it would have been nice to mitigate and eliminate a lot of this bias and stigma between us. I absolutely know as a man who's been guilty of abuse myself, I know that men got so much to do to repair the relationship with women. But as the years go by, we got more and more women that got to do the same with men. And if we always comparing the NBA and the WNBA, man, we're gonna run in circles. You know what I'm saying? We the truth is, all of them girls is talented. All of them guys is talented. You know what I'm saying? It take a lot to run down the court back and forth. It take a lot to deal with cameras in your face and show up. You know what I'm saying? It take a lot to be a leader. So I don't even care about that. That negative banter. I'm like, okay, the girl made it. Asia made it. She been in the league for a long time. How can we create new spaces in the name of Dr. Amos Wilson? How can we create new spaces in the community threaded under the thread of reconciliation, where we address affiliations and debts, and we get folks to pull their money out of Walmart, HEB, and some of these big old corporates, and put their money into women's basketball, put their money into youth development as it pertains to women's sports, so that we can mitigate these blind spots and these gaps in funding and more. I just in my 37th rotation, I don't believe in America like that. I don't believe that America and the folks that we even vote in or vote for or just watch get voted in, they even care about bringing us together. They depend on us being so broken. They depend on, look at the conflict between and surely I ain't no woman, so I ain't trying to overstep my boundary, but look at the conflict between women who breastfeed and who use formula. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a much more apt conflict for us to address, rather than all these girls getting paid with these guys because we know the books is cooked. But the truth is, in our community, we don't know if that sister knows health and nutrition. We don't know if that sister has the resources to breastfeed. You know what I'm saying? And that's a much more apt argument to have about how can we eliminate the biases and stigmas. How can guys watch this and say, okay, well, damn, I could be of support here, or I could be of support there. And we start healing families at the root. We start healing communities at the root, where it could spill into the sports. It could spill into the sport networks. But as long as we got folks like Greg Abbott in power, Ken Paxton in power, Marjorie Taylor Greene in power, you know what I'm saying? Then our sport networks, our labor networks, our education networks are gonna all be slave driven, be slave owned, be oppressive in nature, and we ain't gonna never get nowhere. You know what I mean? That's my 2 cents. I hope I didn't negatively impact the conversation.
No, this is all about you sharing how you feel. Nothing's negative. The only thing that could ever be negative is if we weren't respecting each other. So we're all about you having your own opinion. Like, otherwise it gets boring. Like,
and if you don't speak your opinion, this platform about you speaking your opinion. If you ain't speaking your opinion, then that's.
I might have forgot. It's been a couple seasons.
I give a quick stat real quick.
I appreciate the space.
Hold on just a second, Yuhuganan. I ain't go yet, but that's all right. Denise had her hand up, and then you go again, Yuhuganan.
I hear you, my friend. How do you pronounce your name again?
Chevis, like the Chevy.
Chevis.
Chevis. Okay, Chevis.
You see, I remember from the last time we talked. Go ahead.
So Chevis, yes, I agree with you. I think a lot of this is just one big distraction. Like, it's just little distractions here and there to distract us from really getting on one accord as a human race, because we're all getting messed over right now. If we're just being honest, right? But to bring it back down to this micro level, I'll have to say that you mentioned something about Ice Cube was trying to make have women and men come together in one league. Was that what you said? Out of here. If you've played sports before, I say this all the time when we have the argument about or the discussion about should trans men be able to play or trans women be able to play sports with other women. Absolutely not. Like, I've played sports before. I can tell you right now, when I ran track, the slowest dude on the track team
Can beat the
was faster
fastest
than
girl.
our fastest girl.
Yep.
Absolutely not. Our bodies are built completely different. It ain't gonna happen. That's just a crazy idea. If they decide to do that, there will be no women playing. Period. There will be no. And another thing about sports that people don't understand, to get to the point where you go professional, it's actually a political thing. You got to get into the right camps. You got to be starting this early on. You got to be playing. You can't just play for high school. You need to probably be at least a D. You probably need to be at a D1 school or a 4A school in high school, and then you need to try to go to a D1 college. Like, there's so many aspects to being able to play professional sports that people don't know about, and being good enough is not the only thing. So that's a whole thing in itself, but everything is very much politicized in my opinion. But you're right, there are bigger fish to fry right now than this thing. This thing is just one example of the many things that are wrong right now in our society, specifically in America. I can't speak to what's going on anywhere else, but that's one of the biggest things. But Q, or you Huguenot, whoever was.
Yeah, you Huguenot. Go ahead. What are you saying, sir?
Yeah, I was gonna make a quick point based off of what got the sister's name. Can you say them again, sister?
Denise.
Denise. There we go. Denise. Thank you. Said earlier, I was gonna make a quick point of stat. When it was opening day for Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, I think there was a scheduling conflict with the two games, and the end result was that the premier game for Caitlin Clark was televised, and the one for Angel Reese was not. And then there had to be an apology by the WNBA as far as them messing up the scheduling conflict. And, it kind of basically this kind of transcends the issue as far as the article is concerned, because now that Caitlin Clark is in the league, the games are getting televised now. The viewership is going up. So I just wanted to, point that out in regards to, even though we try to sweep it under the rug and say that it's not a racial issue, it just can't be denied or hidden in regards to how things are playing out. And I'm gonna leave out with this in regards to that. As far as racism in sports, there's this series that's about to come out called Clipped, and it's talking about the ex Clippers owner Donald Sterling, which is going to be played by Ed O'Neill, and then you have Lawrence Fishburne playing Doc Rivers. So it goes inside the way that he ran his franchise. He ran it like a plantation. So he still had that mentality of back in the day, as far as, of that time, until he got exposed. So
can you fill people in on the thing? He said something. I can't remember what it was.
Oh, he said a lot.
Fill people in on what?
People may not know the Donald Sterling.
Oh, Donald Sterling. So Donald Sterling was the owner of the Clippers during, I think, the 20, I wouldn't say 20, up till 20, I'll say up till 2016 or so, where he got vetoed from the NBA because he said something that was recorded and leaked. It got leaked. Once it got leaked, man, it was
Racist,
game
by
on.
the way.
Yeah, it was a racial slur. I'll say that. And it got leaked, and next thing you know, the media was on it like wildfire, and man, it got so much media attention to where he had to get pushed or removed from the NBA. But this series, this docuseries, I'll say that's what it is. This docuseries, it goes inside, like behind the scenes, as far as like how he got to the position that he was in. And I tell you like this, hell has no fury like a woman scorned. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah. I think that's how he got exposed.
Could I speak to that real quick? I remember being at Baylor University in Waco, when Donald Sterling was sued by the Department of Justice because he wouldn't rent to Mexicans and black folks. You know what I'm saying? He said that black tenants smell and attract vermin. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And then he paid like $3 million to settle the suit. And that's just, like the brother said, I mean, he said a bunch of stuff. But my thing is, Dr. King said silence is betrayal. And how many of them other owners, how many of these other players even, you know what I'm saying? Like we don't see LeBron James just speaking out. We don't see Anthony Edwards just speaking up and speaking out. Kevin Durant damn sure ain't saying nothing. And so the silence on all of this stuff causes me to be unenthused. Like let them run in the race wars. We got more important things at stake. 5 out of 8 kids in the Houston Independent School District can't read. Black kids. But they can read music, or they can read a sports sheet. We're coming into tougher times than we ever been in. You know what I mean? Like it's so tough. I was in DC last month talking with folks on Capitol Hill about how we need to charge our children to learn the value of coins and start picking up coins again, rather than compete for money that won't be the same in 10 years. So even when it comes to the sports, I feel what you're saying, Denise, but I came up and, we moved to Austin in 1998 from Atlanta, and, Nikki might remember, Q, you might remember, Georgetown High School, their girls ran the state. So in basketball, so even though we had stars at Stony Point, stars at Round Rock, stars even at LBJ, those girls at Georgetown could run with the guys, like could really run. And it was just a different. It was a different day in basketball. But I remember they used to whoop our behinds at the Clay Madsen Center because they knew how to play the long ball. They knew how to pass and pass and pass and pass, rather than, always throw it in the paint and play the physical game. They knew how to outrun us. They knew how to really play defense. Girls wasn't scared of the boys. You know what I'm saying? And so I never just looked at it as, oh, women can't play at the same field. There's a different physicality to it, but basketball ain't all physical. You know what I'm saying? It's super skill and super mindset related and or mindset geared. And so I remember the girls on that 2000 that 2000 Georgetown High School basketball team. They won state. They understood teamwork better than we did at Stony Point. Well, we was all just trying to impress the girls in the stands. The girls at Georgetown understood teamwork. They understood that teamwork made the dream work. So I even think they had a higher field goal percentage from the free throw line, from the 3-point line, from inside the paint than we had in Round Rock Independent School District program. So, again, why does sports have to be so competitive where, guys and gals can't be in the same league? Why does it have to be so rambunctious, so physical? Like, why, if the folks in the stands are trying to have a good time, why can't the big three have Caitlin and, some of these other folks all on a co-ed team where it's all about the love of the game? You know what I'm saying? I grew up in a time where it was about the love of the game, not about me standing over a brother or me looking down on the women that play on the other court. It just wasn't about that. It was like who could really run, who could really dribble, who could really pass, who could run the race. Who could run the race here on this court. And I think we just charge competition so much. And somebody on this call saying, oh, he weak. You know what I'm saying? Come say it to my face. I'm saying why can't we have in basketball, in baseball, why can't it just simply be for the love of the game? I came up in an interesting time in the late 80s, early 90s, where it was about really lasting the whole race. It wasn't about looking better. It wasn't about standing over the other. It was about really playing the game. And so if it was about playing the game, it wouldn't be, oh, the women are like this and the men are like this. It'd be, look at how women and men really shine. Look at how men and women really excel. Look at how Angel Reese can really shelve controversy and stay focused on her desired goals. Like, rather than look at what she wore to the Met Gala and you know, is Caitlin Clark a man? Like, all of this is disparaging in the outcomes of oppression, the outcomes of racism. I mean, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said that racism was not just what we believe in the color politics. It was a system with many different working parts. And if we don't understand that the Department of Education, much like the world of sports, are all rooms in the house of white supremacy, then we will continue to say, oh man, that's unfair. Or, oh man, it shouldn't be like that, but it's been like that. It's been like that. You know what I'm saying?
I gotta push back. Women and men
like you get in.
Can I just say this? I'm gonna let you get in, you cannot.
Sure, go ahead.
Women and men cannot.
I'm gonna be real drunk by the time I talk, but
for fun, they can play together on the big three. But at the end of the day, like, if we're just bringing this down to the micro level again, and we're just talking about entertainment, I don't want to see Caitlin Clark or any of those ladies playing up against LeBron. I'm sorry. I don't. For my entertainment's sake, I want to see LeBron go up against a big old 6'7" man like himself. Because it sounds like, to me, the girls that you were speaking about that in high school, it sounds like they were more disciplined than y'all. I can almost guarantee if y'all had the same discipline as them, they wouldn't have been able to do what they did. So again, it's like there's more layers to it. But at the end of the day, women and men cannot be on the same team, and nobody wants to see that at the end of the day. And furthermore, a big reason why I think that women's basketball doesn't do as good is because most women don't watch sports.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's going to be your biggest fan base for a women's team. Most women do not watch sports. Most women don't know anything about sports. Most women can't tell you. I mean, a thing. The only reason why I know is because I used to play sports and because my brothers play sports. So I have, and you know, if you got a man that knows something, you're going to have some information. You're going to be watching the game with him, or you're just going to be with your girls. Either way, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like, women don't watch sports, so it's not interesting. It's just like if a makeup line was trying to make some makeup for men don't wear makeup like that. Men are not as involved. Men are not as involved in that lane. So some of it is just how we are naturally wired, and some of it's not like racism or sexism. Some of it just simply is. Some of it just is. There's a lot of it that isn't that. There's a lot of it that needs work, but a lot of things just simply are what they are. But anyways, Q.
Okay, this is gonna sound real random because I just been writing down notes for about what 4 people said, about 3 rounds. It's about 15 different points or so. I'm just responding to it. It's gonna sound random, but I'm responding to different points throughout the conversation. Okay, so let's see. So first of all, even with sports, one thing I like about sports, it has the least amount of racism when you compare it to everything else in society, the workplace, the jobs, all of that. Sports has the least amount. if you can play and you can win and you can bring us championships or whatever it is, then you have the best chance of proving your worth.
I believe that.
That's one. Now it don't mean that there's not racism that doesn't exist, but in this country, the least amount of racism you can find in sports. I think something that you just what you said, Denise, women cannot compete with men on women cannot compete with men on the same level. So when you talk about apples to apples, like for instance, I used to go to Gregory down at UT. We will play against the UT women's college team all the time, and they was cold. They would give us a run for our money. We would have to give everything we got. We usually beat them 99% of the time, but it was close. Now, had we played a WNBA team instead of a college team, they would have beat us. But if, like I said, apples to apples, if a professional men's team played a professional women's team, then there is no competition. There ain't no way around it. We have been given a drug for the last 20 years called testosterone that gives us an advantage over women. It's a hormone, it's a drug, it's something that's being pumped through our veins 24/7, and it gives us a different type of advantage. So if you try to take a lesser level of man, like you take me and my old ass and put me against Sha'Carri Richardson, she beat me. If I ran in at the same age that I was, that Sha'Carri Richardson is, I'd beat her. I know the times. I'd beat her. I beat her easily. And me, myself, even in my prime, I couldn't even make a college cut for a final. The person who wins college, not even Olympic, the college male will beat Sha'Carri Richardson in a 100-meter dash. Somebody who can't even make an Olympic team or make the cut, they'll still beat Sha'Carri Richardson. It's the drug that's been pumped in our body called testosterone. It's not about, okay, so the whole thing back primarily to the main point that we were talking about with Caitlin Clark and A'ja Wilson. For me, it's not about A'ja Wilson. It's more about the media spin when it comes to the article. The media knows how to spin things in a way that causes division. Yep. If that article didn't do this divisive type of language the way it was, then we wouldn't be talking about it right now. True. And they know that. So they purposefully do this divisive black versus white, woman versus man. You see this all the time in social media. And that's how they get the clicks and the likes. Yep. That's what I'm not even really pushing back about what A'ja Wilson said, because what she said, as well as what other people on here has said, I agree with. I'm mad at the post because we as a people, the world, the whole melting pot, we keep falling for the same goddamn thing. And I'm like, why are we just gonna keep falling for this stuff?
Short attention.
Every time somebody wants to, it makes me mad that every time somebody wants to create division between genders or races or age gaps or whatever, it's so easy for people to do it, and they've conditioned us in a way that we fall for it every single time. So in this instance, because there is racism that exists, there is a gender gap that exists, but this is not the instance that you want to argue. Anybody who watched college basketball can clearly see that Caitlin Clark was the best college player in the league, and it wasn't even close. So don't use this as an argument, because she's the best in college. We're not talking about the WNBA professional. She hadn't got there yet. Just like, and that's one of those things you don't, it's the same thing. So is Zion Williams the best player in the world? No, but he was the best college player at the time, and he got all the accolades, and he got all the acknowledgement, and he got endorsements. LeBron James had $100 million contract before he ever dribbled professionally.
Yep.
So don't sit there and act like it's something special because Caitlin Clark is getting this money. By the way, on the side, The NIL has changed things too. We talked about name, image, likeness. Do you name, image, likeness? Do y'all know that Angel Reese has already racked up a couple mil herself through NIL? So when y'all keep acting like it's just one-sided and all of this, people. So that's my other thing that my observation. They play into the ignorance of the masses.
Yep.
When I'm talking about the media, social media. And what do I mean by ignorance? Most of these people who have these hard, strong reactions, rebuttals, agreements, disagreements, I'll even say like you, Denise, you just admitted you don't watch it.
I don't.
How can anybody have a strong opinion about something you haven't even watched the product? But they get you on that, and we have these strong opinions on things that we really haven't even done our homework on or paid attention to. We don't follow it. But since we are already a race divided nation or people, once we see something, we just jump on that side. We jump right in. So, even when it comes to sports, when it comes to acting, when it comes to whatever it is, even podcasting, remember, it's all about entertainment. It's all about entertainment.
Yep.
Even when you're talking about sports, you're still talking about entertainment. What do people want to see? These are small intricacies that people are not paying attention to. Angel Reese is a center. Caitlin Clark is a guard. And the average person asks, what that got to do with anything? Entertainment value. The same way that centers nowadays are not as entertaining, and they don't even cater the game itself around centers or low post players. They go for entertainment. So that's why you look at Steph Curry, you look at Anthony Edwards, you look at people who can drive and shoot the three from 30 feet away and can dunk the basketball jumping 10 feet away from that's what they're looking for, because it's entertainment value. That's what gets people jumping up on their feet and like, oh my goodness, did you see that? Kareem dribbling 10 times down at the post and then shoot a sky hook didn't make anybody throw up their hands and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that. Entertainment. And I'm talking about intricacies that the average person is not even thinking about. Okay, here's another instance. Do you know, and this is a rhetorical question, do you know where the NBA was in its first 30 years? This goes to the argument of people talking about, well, the WNBA, the women are not making as much money as the men are making and so forth like that. Do you know in the first 25, 30 years in the NBA, after the season was over, most of the people had to go work a regular job in the off season because they wasn't making no money either. It's history people don't pay attention to.
Yep.
In the 80s, in football and in basketball, well, not so much basketball, but 60s, 70s, the first 25, 30 years, your salary wasn't going to make you rich. In football, most of those people, they would have jobs in the off season because they wasn't making no money. So when you sit there and people make the argument, women don't make the same amount as men, and it's because of gender, it's still a young league. And as they keep on growing the league and promoting the league, then they'll get to a place just like the men did, where they'll be self-sufficient on their own as well. I don't know why I wrote. Okay, I know why I wrote this. Why do you think they're getting? Somebody mentioned now the WNBA is just now getting charter flights. Why do you think that is? They're just now getting charter flights. So, and this goes back to Aja Wilson. If you meant this to be derogatory, then you need to fall back and shut up a little bit, because regardless, the Republicans will say this towards the world, which doesn't apply when they say a rising tide lift all boats. That don't apply in America. But when it comes to sports, then it does apply. Tiger Woods, with all his popularity, he made way more money than all the other people. But he made everybody else get more money because it popularized the sport overall. So, okay, Aja, you're still the game itself is still young. I mean, your league is still young. You have a person who who's bringing more attention. And not only that, I'll get to that in a second. You have a person who's bringing more attention that's going to bring more money to the sport itself, which is ultimately going to give you more money and allow you to go on private jets and do things that you hadn't done before. Jordan was not the first great player in the world. It was a lot of people, but what happened is right before Jordan, it was Magic Johnson and Larry Bird shot the popularity to a different level. And that's the one of the last points I have. Rivalries make the entertainment. So Caitlin Clark actually didn't do it by herself. It was her going against Angel Reese and her going against LSU and her going against South Carolina that raised the popularity. If she was dominating college basketball and nobody could touch her, then it wouldn't be that interesting. So the rivalry itself made people look at it differently. And not only are they looking at it in college, now they're following them from college to the professional game. And that's what's going to get you these chartered flights. That's what's going to get your salary increase. That's why my cousin who just left here was talking about, that we used to go to WNBA games all the time. And now we can't even afford it because the ticket prices then shot up out the roof.
Good.
Because he lives in Illinois, was right next to Indiana. They would go to a lot of them games. And he's like, we can't even afford them tickets now. But that's what her popularity has done. So I just think this is the wrong instance to try to make these arguments. Let me see if I have any Angel. Okay, I think I got most of it. I just think, just don't use this to make this argument. And clearly, the main thing is you can't not make this argument when she was the best college player in the league. If she was the third or fourth and she wasn't really the best, but they kept pumping her up like she was the best, that's an argument. But she wasn't the best. And not only that, like I was telling Denise before this started, there's a woman by the name of Diana Taurasi who is probably the best WNBA player of all time. You can argue Diana Taurasi or Candace Parker or Maya Moore or a couple people, but there's already white people who already are up in that level. So if they weren't looking at Diana Taurasi like they're looking at Caitlin Clark, it's not a white thing. It just means the sport hasn't reached the peak of its popularity yet. And it just comes in time. And if you happen to come in before the time of its peak, like Magic Johnson was the first player to ever get $1 million contract in the NBA.
Was he really?
And now the lowest paid, the lowest paid person in the league right now is making over that amount.
Wow.
And some people, you got some of the older guys who hate on that, and you got some of the older guys who like, we just came in a different time. We helped pave the way for them to make the amount of money that they make now. Don't be a hater.
Right.
I got it all out. Go ahead.
Congratulations, Q. You've made quite some improvement there, man. That was some good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you.
I think everybody's got to learn what their position in life is, and you got to play your position. Now we're talking about sports analogies. If you're a point guard, don't try to be a center. That's not your lot in life. You're probably not tall enough, which is why you're a point guard. So I think at the end of the day, what happens in things like this and in all aspects of life, people are scatterbrained right now. And I think it has something to do with the fact that people have shorter attention spans and people are not sticking to their mission. Stick to whatever your mission is and know, like, you may not reap the benefits, all of the benefits of the work that you have done, but somebody will. Just like I always take things back to slavery. Like there was so much that those people did to make sure that we were free that they didn't benefit half. 60%, 70%, 80% of what them being bold enough and brave enough to be like, I got to get up off this plantation and I got to get out of this plantation right now. if that means I got to risk my life, if that means I have to leave my family, whatever that means, people have to make sacrifices in order for other people to have better. And if you're only making those sacrifices for yourself, then guess what? When certain things happen and people have more than you, you're going to be salty about it. But at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to like, there's a time and place for everything. There's a time to fight against something. There's a time not to. I remember during the Black Lives Matter movement, when we were having our like 2020, we were like really seemed like we were getting on one accord, seemed like we were really like, okay, we were making some motion, we were mobilized, we had plans. And then out of nowhere, I remember Billy Porter bringing up the trans movement and saying that he felt like Black people don't support LGBT Black people. And I just felt like, I hear you, brother, but this is not the time. There's a time to have that conversation, but then there's a time where it's not the time to be divisive. And to me, when you bring that in the middle of trying to make progress, that is divisive. And I could make that argument in this situation too. What people don't realize, there's like so many different like little government things that they were doing during the like civil rights movement where they were intentionally causing division. And so I feel like oftentimes, like even just as a society as a whole, because when I think of things from the standpoint of a Black person, we were like the worst treated people in America as far as I am concerned. So then when you get the worst treated people finally starting to become owners of things and get on one accord and going from, you know, being poor to being middle class to being upper middle class to being educated, all these other things, when you have the people who are the lowest on the totem pole starting to get something, and if you're a government that's run on capitalism, that's an issue, right? So what ends up happening is I just feel like a lot of times when we are making progress as a human race, here comes the gender wars. Here comes the racism. Here comes, you know, like
we can't be unified. We have to be divided. They know they can always win if we remain divided. Period.
Fight over dumb stuff like sports.
So throw a false flag, create some shit, right? You know, and it's. I mean, the same can be said. Like even it's just the pitting people against each other, whether it's race, whether it's sex. I mean, we've got the bear versus man conversation happening. We got the Diddy situation happening. We got the
bear versus man.
Choosing the bear or choosing the man. If a woman was in the woods, who would you choose, a bear or a man? Right?
Give me a break. All right.
So you've got that argument happening between men and women. You've got, you know, the people.
Are women saying they choose a bear? I'm sorry, I've been off the internet.
Yes, a lot of women will say they choose the bear.
Or a man.
Like not a hairy man, but an actual bear.
Because the bear is predictable. The bear, you know, it's predictable. He or she may very well attack and kill you. You could be in the woods with a man and you're not really sure what his intentions may or may not be. There's a whole conversation taking place over women choosing bear or women choosing man, and
that's
why
one would choose that much.
Do what?
I said that's why I'm
as a companion or just some company.
No, obviously not a companion, because a bear is not going to be a companion. Just if you were stuck in the woods and you had to choose from a bear or
I gotta know, because there's bestiality going on in these parts, so I just gotta ask.
No, I ain't got nothing to do with that. So just again, so the pitting against people, you know, and lately, as you know, even with some of the Diddy stuff, and like even with Kendrick and Drake shit, like and Chris Brown, and like, you know, I've engaged in obviously some parts of this, right? But then I've also had to stand back and be like, what is really fucking happening that they're drawing all of our attention to the internet, back to back to back to back, to see what Drake says next and see what Kendrick says next. Kendrick, team Kendrick, anyways. You know, but like just the way that it draws our attention from what's really fucking happening. And it's the constant cycle. Like, you know, kind of like Sheva said, it's just not gonna change. It's really not. And, you know, to the point of like Ice Cube inviting Caitlyn to play for Big Three, he offered her $5 million. That's like an unprecedented amount of money. Like that's obviously more than what the WNBA was going to pay her. She probably wouldn't have got the same deal with Nike had she gone to play for fucking Ice Cube, especially after, you know, all the Kanye conversation and contract with Black America and all that. However, that could have been a fucking step to unity to say, you know what, fuck playing for the slave owners, right? I'm going to go over here. But and that's not her fight, right? That might not be her fight. That might not have been her goal. I mean, she may not want nothing to do with that. But in the aspect of sports, and maybe trying to get on one accord, or maybe trying to do something different, you know, after Cap took his knee, there should have been a Black NFL team started. There should have been, you know, something that was in lieu of the NFL. But just like voting, just like a lot of other things, people are fucking scared. They're just going to do what works because it's what fucking works. It's just going to do what works because the TV said so, the doctor said so, my preacher said so, my mama said so, really smart people with paper and letters behind their name said so. So I'm just going to do that. I mean, and it's like, you know, whether it's this situation or a lot of other situations that we could get into, it is easier for us to be divided. So they indoctrinate us with religion. They indoctrinate us with this bullshit education system that we have to go to for 12 years of our life, or we're going to go to jail, or our parents are going to go to jail. We have to take these tests, or you don't get to fucking graduate. Like, it's just the constant putting people against each other, and they're winning. They figured out the fucking equation to do so, and it's really happening every day.
I think we like being against each other. I think
some people probably do.
Good to be a part of a group that's against another group.
Denise, that's what they said in the Matrix.
Oh yeah.
Agent Smith, he said we had 6 other versions before you, and before it was either Agent Smith or it was the architect. It was like we had other versions before you. It was the architect. And he said, we made a perfect world. Everything ran correctly. Everything, he said, our crops died because you have a thirst for violence and division. And like, he was like, so we have to put this conflict before you. Otherwise, you don't move, you don't thrive, you don't excel. You die off when there is no type of conflict. So, you know, that's just the Matrix. But, you know, the Matrix is my Bible. So I'll be going.
I think sports are like the safe way to have that without there being like any real consequence. You know what I mean? And maybe that's why I don't know why the Greeks started the whole gladiator thing. I'm not really sure what that was about, but I mean,
entertainment.
I mean, I think it's the safe way to yeah. I think it's a safe way to kind of just keep people at bay in some sort of way. And I think entertainment is also like the easy and safe way to keep people, again, distracted from the things that are actually going on. I mean, we haven't talked about the fact that the Iranian president's helicopter just
happened to fall out the sky. Just happened to fall out the sky.
And
that wasn't coincidental at all.
That's crazy. Everybody has the same exact headline. You know, they're feeding the media when the headline is exactly the same. They called it a hard landing is what they called it. Ain't no damn hard landing.
Wow.
That's like me saying I had a hard landing. I fell. That's what happened. I didn't hard land. I fell on the ground and I busted my ass. So there's like things like that are happening that's like very obvious. It's just like there's so many things that our government does that we all know is cap, but it's just so hard to accept that they're doing these kind of things. Like the stuff that happened with Epstein committing suicide, so clearly cap. But you know what I mean? It's hard to focus on something that you feel like you have absolutely no control over. You know what I mean?
To Q's point, he mentioned something earlier in regards to this the situation with the WNBA. and which kind of why I backed down or took a step back and just kind of watched things unfold. Because when you have something like this that's in the media, which is controlled by 3 major media outlets in regards to the news, because they control the narrative, it's a gravitational pull because it's juicy gossip, something to talk about or something to discuss, while behind closed doors they are generating or devising a plan or a scheme to, either decrease the population or cause a catastrophic event to happen over here. And I think the brother mentioned something about Project 2025 in regards to Donald Trump getting rid of the stuff that, that keeps these type of things, I will say the stuff that we need as far as like education and all of that stuff. So the way I look at it now, I mean, I do pay attention to it, but not as much. I'm looking for more so like what's the next trending thing that's going to take place in regards that is going to not as far as like the media hype or the media anything. It's like as far as like them passing the bill that nobody knows about or something like that. Like what the government is really up to that is like affecting the quote unquote American people. And somebody posted this that really caught my attention, and it was like, God damn. He posted something about the average salary in each state to survive. And and I'm not gonna cuss, but it was basically average over 200,000. That's the cost of living. As the cost of living. That is scary. That's scary. And they charging for every goddamn thing. You name it.
Especially when you ain't bringing it in. How the fuck I'm making it?
And they expect us. Man, I told my wife this the other night. They trying to throw us out on the street, expecting us to thrive and survive while you keep on raising the goddamn prices up, but they ain't getting no damn raises. What the hell's wrong with y'all?
Yep.
So like my man Q said, we don't pay attention to the details. We don't pay attention to the things that most people don't pay attention to, and those are the critical details. Those small little things is that what we need to pay attention to, which is why you have a lot of people that's going into farming and growing their own food, because the processed food is killing us slowly. Even the freaking water that we drink.
Yep. Smells like a swimming pool. Fresh out the tap. Smells like a pool.
Yeah. And we so hold on. Let me switch my battery. Hold on 1 second.
Y'all can't collect rainwater in Texas, right?
Hello?
I thought it wasn't legal, but then like Round Rock provides rain barrels. So I think it's just like maybe county wise, but there's a lot of places where it is absolutely illegal to collect water. Yep.
I bet you.
Sorry, my headphones went out. Y'all go ahead. My bad.
I bet you one of the reasons why it's illegal to collect rainwater, because if somebody actually start doing tests to see what's in the rainwater, which comes from the clouds, which also
I'm gonna come out and come back in. Q put me on the stage.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I got you. If you actually did a sample of that water, which comes from the clouds, which comes from the water, which also comes from, you'd find all these crazy impurities inside of the water that can actually be traced back to different corporations and different. It's because you'll find chemicals in the water that's not even natural chemicals. It's like, oh, okay. And then you can start tracing those chemicals back to the people who use those chemicals. That's just my guess.
This is like the snow and this hail that people are collecting. This freak fucking hail that all of a sudden now Texas gets hailstorms once a week, right? So people are collecting these odd ass shaped, cantaloupe shaped, larger than ever been recorded shaped fucking balls of ice, and they're putting them under microscope lenses, and snow that doesn't melt, they're putting it under microscopic lenses. Like, what is this shit? This isn't natural stuff. So we are being poisoned from literally every angle. You know, and to the point of kind of what you guys are saying, you know, Hukanan as well, like, I don't think that it's not that we're not paying attention. There's a lot of us that are paying attention. There's a lot of us that have been paying attention for a very long time. There's a lot of us that have been speaking the truth and being honest and being fine with being disliked for a very long time, trying to share information so that people would tune in. I think there's a lot of people tuned in. The problem is people won't fucking act. We are lazy. We are complicit. We are a convenient society. We are not trying to buck the system. We clock in, we clock out. That's what we do. We clock in, we clock out. We clock in, we clock out. Most people aren't going to do anything. So we can identify it all day long. But those of us who are ready to flip fucking tables and stand up need people behind us to help flip fucking tables and stand up. Otherwise, our children's children are never going to make it. They're not going to make it. We are going to phase humanity out with AI coming in and taking over everything and all the cloning and all the shit they're doing that we don't know nothing about. We don't have much more civilization of actual humanity left because they're poisoning us every fucking day. They just took the shot off. They just took the AstraZeneca shot. They just fucking removed it. They're like, oh yeah, never mind. We never should have gave this to y'all. Are you fucking kidding me? Food, water, medication, air. There's no safe spots. You know, because of COVID, you know, I spent 2.5 years literally sitting outside every day watching the sun. The sun has changed. The heat has changed. My skin in the sun has changed. The water has changed. The wind has changed. The allergens have changed. We are attacked every way we possibly can. But people won't
I got
do
sunburned for the first time in my life last year.
You got sunburned for the first time, you said?
Yeah.
Really?
And I actually, first time in my life I got sunburned, and I actually had sunscreen on.
Damn.
when I was
Wow.
out, and I still got sunburned. I was like, wow, that's different.
Yeah, but they're gonna say, oh, it's climate change, and oh, it's this, and oh, it's that. No, it's these manufactured microwaved clouds and storms that they're blowing through here left and right. That's
food.
cooking the shit out of people. The sunscreen. Yeah, I mean, sunscreen sounds like a necessary thing, right? But shit, sunscreen is so cancer causing. It's like, do I not put the sunscreen on and get cancer from the sun? Or do I put the sunscreen on and get cancer from burning this shit into my bloodstream all day, every day at the pool, all summer long? It's a no-win situation. So really, I mean, we can talk about it all day long, but until people are ready to do something about it, it's not going to change. No matter who we vote in, it don't fucking matter. That our government it is not there for us. They're not there to protect us, just like the fucking police. If you think the police are there to protect us, you are lost. They are not. We are on our own, but we sure paying taxes like they got our back, but people won't stop that either. So
And
I mean,
billions of dollars going overseas.
I have
Billions.
I got a thought for a
billions.
future topic. I'm gonna write that down for later. I got
what, taxes to pay or not to pay?
Ooh. No, you were talking about the police like being here to protect us. I want to do it, and we at 1:30, so we about to close up. We ain't gonna be on here forever.
Supposed to be
But
60
a good
minutes.
topic. A good topic would be some of the things that we hate, or some of the things that we feel a certain way about. Even though you feel a certain way about it, if you had the opportunity to do away with it completely, would you do it? So when you say that the police is not here to protect us, are you willing to
get
go
rid
as
of
far?
them?
Would you
Hell
absolutely
no.
get rid?
Hell no.
Hell yeah, by tonight. Get rid of all of them. Get rid of all of them.
In a minute.
Get rid of all of them.
Okay, hold on.
And then
So
charge
all
it
of
to
y'all-
the brothers
all
to
of
be
y'all
real
just
men.
confirmed-
Charge it to the sisters
all
to
of
come
y'all
out. Let's
just
form our
confirmed that
own
this would be a
teams.
great
I'm ready
topic.
to get rid of the police like right now. Like right now.
Hold on. Time out. Y'all just confirmed. Y'all confirmed that this will be a great topic, great future topic. Even
And that's gonna be
next
the
week.
first question.
Yeah. We might not get to a second or third. So yeah,
No
that's
shit.
we
Okay, so
have
not
about 5
next
or
week
6
because
different
next week
things.
is in person. Maybe the week after that. So 2 weeks. 2
Wait,
weeks.
next week? Wait a
Next
minute.
week is in person.
You coming down?
Damn it.
You coming
I
down?
thought y'all said that it wasn't going to be until June. I thought we were skipping.
I thought you were gonna say
this
something
week.
now.
No,
I thought we were
last Tuesday.
skipping.
It's the last
No, last Tuesday.
Tuesday of every month.
I
I
got
thought
the
we were
schedule mixed up.
skipping this week
Y'all at
because.
Brent's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. What date is it? What date is that?
Hold on, let me tell you. I think it's the 28th, right? Yeah, Tuesday the 28th.
Okay, I'm conflicted. That's my birthday. I'm
Oh,
going to
happy
be
birthday.
in Texas, but I'm also going to be coming for my nephew's birthday on the 1st. But I'm not going to be in Austin. I'm going to be in Houston. I'm gonna see what I can do. I'm gonna see what I can
There you
do.
go.
I'm gonna try really hard.
Yes.
You had fun last time, right?
Yo, that would be so perfect. That's the only reason why I didn't say anything to y'all about it before, because I thought we were just skipping because it was like the Labor Day week or something. I'm gonna try my freaking best.
Yeah, no, Labor Day on Monday. We ain't got that. They ain't got nothing to do with
I'm
Tuesday.
gonna try my freaking best because I'm gonna be in Texas on the 25th. So let's just see.
Okay. And even
Okay,
if it's not,
Nikki, you want to give that?
we can always do a little
You
something
want to give that
impromptu.
announcement before we close out, Nikki?
I'm sorry?
So you want to give the kind of announcement about where they can catch us at the live
Yes.
meeting next
So,
week?
and I think I still got my thingy up here from last go round. So the last Tuesday of every month, and we gonna thug it out this week. Next week we're gonna see how this heat goes with us. We'll see what kind of fans Brent can get going in the pavilion for us. But as of right now, last Tuesday of every month, we're meeting up at the food truck pavilion. Dirty Glove is hosting us. We start at 8:05, just like we do live. I'm sorry?
So they got some good food there.
And he always makes a great spread for us. So come a little bit early, get your food order in. Mosey, it's BYOB, BYO, whatever. But come out, support the food trucks, meet some people. We do not go live. It will be 100% in person. There is no live action happening. We'll do a little bit of live, before we start, just to kind of, let everybody know who's here. But as soon as we start talking, it's over. We generally will go to about 10 o'clock. And then the truck is open until midnight. The pavilion's open until midnight. So we just stay kicking it, chopping it up, just a reason to be at the house on a Tuesday night. So if you are interested in joining us for an in-person Free Thinkers next Tuesday, last Tuesday of every month, we're up at the food truck. And of course, there'll be a bunch more details and reminders on the Facebook Free Thinkers page. Just in the event you're like, oh shit, what's the address? Where do I go? Right off of Howard Lane, Howard and 35. So come out, support, meet some people, network. We have a great conversation. Q uses foul language because it's not live.
Yeah, I do.
What?
Live, yeah. Whole lot, yes.
And if I could say, Nikki, if I could back you up, man, for my man Brent, I'm gonna go out on public record and say, if you come to this space, this is probably the best space,
100,
the best outdoor patio in North Austin. I don't think anybody got it. Not Cajun Sweets or whatever they call themselves.
Yeah.
Come out and support Dirty Glove Midwest Barbecue, who've been holding it down since 2012, 13. They got the best outdoor patio. You spinning black. You putting equity back into the community, in the North Austin community. I implore, if you're listening, you just heard Nikki's plug. Come out next Tuesday. Chevis will definitely try.
Yeah.
Definitely try. Because I love that patio. I think they've done such a great thing with that, right?
It's amazing. I mean, it really is. And like you said, I mean, this is giving back to our people, the people who have supported us, the people who have had our back. Right. Brent has been a friend of mine for a very, very long time. And as soon as that pavilion got going, he was like, I want y'all to come and do a Tuesday night. And we were like, fucking A, right? So like it's perfect. It is definitely the perfect Free Thinkers vibe. It's cool as shit. So if you like what we do here and you're here in town, you're here in Austin, come the last Tuesday of the month and come chop it up with your Free Thinker friends and family, man. We will be out there. Bring some money. eat, spend some money. There may be a couple other food trucks out there, but the food is phenomenal. It's not all barbecue. The last couple weeks we've been getting seafood, so it's a surprise. It's
Man,
delicious. It's worth it.
he made them salmon tacos. Oh
Salmon
my God,
tacos.
that was so good. And I asked him,
Salmon
I was like, oh,
tacos.
I said, how much is it? He gave me the price. I said, oh no, bro. I said, I gave him double what he told me because them tacos were
Right.
so good. I said, I don't even feel right giving you what you're telling me with it.
I know.
Oh man,
Look,
it's good.
I had a
It's
taco
good
yesterday and it
food.
was the same price, and it damn sure wasn't the same kind of taco.
I'm like, oh man, it's so good. But the only other thing I add is, as much fun and as much as we enjoy these conversations online, it's a different vibe when you meet in person. It's different. So you want to come check it out. It's different. I enjoyed myself last month. I was like, oh man, I missed this. I mean, it brought me back to the cellar down there over at Genuine Joe. I'm like, oh man, I missed this.
Yeah, it's good shit. It's good shit. Come out. You will not be upset. It is enclosed and it is covered, but it's hot. So dress accordingly. It's gonna be warm. I'm sure we'll have fans and things like that out there. But if you got some bug spray that you want to put on or whatever, I mean, definitely be prepared. It is an outdoor event, an outdoor venue, but it is enclosed and it is covered. So, there might be a few little bugs here and there, mosquitoes that might catch their way in, but we finna have an old school outside parking lot conversation. So come and join us next Tuesday, 8 o'clock till 10 is when the conversation starts. Q will be like, all right, conversation's over. You can leave if you want to. You ain't gotta stay, but we always stay till about midnight. So even if you catch the tail end, come on out, man. Come out, come chill, come introduce yourself, come meet some folks. Hopefully Denise will grace us with her presence. But it's a great way. It's a great way to start the summer, man. It's a great way to kick off that Memorial Day. And if you are solution oriented, you'll like meeting in person with us. And that's pretty much it, man. Y'all got any closing thoughts? Anything y'all want to share? Anything that needs to be shared?
No, this is good.
Are you gonna do any performances when you're down here, Denise?
No, I'm chilling. I'm really in a chill mode. If I don't come on the 28th, I am gonna be down there. So I might do like I did last time, where like I'll be like, hey, y'all want to meet somewhere real quick and like meet up.
Right.
Yeah. So hopefully I can come for Tuesday, but if not, I do want to see everybody. So I'll let y'all know as soon as I know.
Smack is at Third Base every Friday, and Third Base is in Round Rock. So I know your family's up in Killeen Way.
Yeah.
So I mean, it ain't nothing to throw some people together and hang out and have a good fucking time. So I'm glad you're coming down.
Me too. So maybe we'll do that. That might be more realistic. The Friday thing. Okay.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Shadows, anything you want to share? Anything we need to know about?
The world's on fire.
Boy.
I can spotlight a couple of things. Ramiro Gonzalez is on our Texas death row, set for a summer execution. And you should Google him. I'll say this: the brother deserves clemency.
Say that name again, sir.
Ramiro Gonzalez.
Ramiro, okay.
Ruben Gutierrez is also on Texas death row, and he's always had an innocent claim. We need the Three Stooges and the Texas government to get out of office and run to New Mexico. This brother's innocent. I believe in him. The same way I believe in Rodney Reed and Melissa Lucio as well. We need to bring more people into the abolitionist space to discuss the 190 plus exonerations that we've had since 1989 on death row. There's plenty of men and women that are innocent. Again, there's so much trouble in the world. I could go on and on, man. I'd say this summer to all the parents, dig deep into your children. Dig deep. We're not quite sure what the next school year is to be. And I guess I'm saying this because I don't know if when I'll be back on the show, but obviously I could share a lot of stuff. We've got an 85 to Stay Alive mock sale exhibition in Houston, Texas, July 18th, where we'd like for you as a community member to come and sit in a solitary cell for 7 minutes and feel the 120 and 130 degree heat that a TDCJ cell can be. As we move into the summer, last year we had over 60 deaths reported in TDCJ due to heat. I've got a client in the Garza unit, Garza West unit out there in Beeville, that's lost 100 pounds in a year, and he passed out twice last year. And we just want you to consider that animals are treated better. Animals are treated better. And what if it was you? Any abolitionist listening, any abolitionist on the call, peace and power, peace and power. Join us in DC, June 28th through July 2nd for the 31st annual fast and vigil to abolish the death penalty. Some people don't know that the federal government abolished the death penalty in 1972. Soon as Ford and Nixon came back in the office, they got it back running. But we had a few years where the feds had got it right. And we may never get it right here in Texas. But again, I want you to have a heart for it. Melissa Lucio has been on death row for almost 16 years now, and she's absolutely innocent. And when we talk about the disparities between men and women, long story short, her daughter, died in a terrible accident. Parents are always blamed and given the worst outcomes. But one spotlighted outcome that a lot of people don't talk about is her husband, the father of the baby, got 5 years, but she got death row. We not only need her to come home, but we need her to come home, and that set an imprint from Coryell County to Dallas County to Galveston County to Jefferson County. Why are we locking up women? Why are we not ensuring that diversion strategies are placed in our local jurisdictions? Why are we not giving men second chances to change their life and pursue happiness? So again, I appreciate the space. Didn't mean to take too much space. But while I'm free thinking, I'm thinking of the brothers who deserve freedom, the sisters who deserve freedom. So, safe travels to y'all. Peace and power. I appreciate the platform.
And if anybody's interested in getting more information about what Chevis is talking about, Chevis, drop your contact information in Freethinkers so folks can find you.
Yeah, word. I also go to the Facebook page and put the information. We are always reachable via the Austin and the Houston number 512-953-3980, 832-598-1347. We're not only in Austin, we're also in Houston, San Antonio, Abilene, and Oak Cliff and Dallas as well. We're doing whatever we can to simply help save and change lives. It's no longer political. It's no longer for anything but to help save and change lives. Last year, the group hit 17 states, and that is Working Group 512. We keep it hyper local. 512 ounces of not marijuana, but justice. We want people to really understand that we do the work. I'm no longer going live and seeking to destroy brothers' spirit and spotlight the sisters who are liars and manipulators, because they show they self. You know what I mean? I'm coming on 4 years from prison, and folks ain't doing nothing but getting in the way. We got things like the Black Fund in Austin and these other funds that ain't doing nothing but building more disconnects and building more oppression. We have too many parties and social gatherings in the city of Austin instead of direct solutions. But myself as a leader in the community, as a service provider, but also a leader that's not a leader in my own regard, but a leader because I know sisters like Nikki, because I know neighbors that get out of the gender and the race stuff and simply remember that we're persons first. I'm looking for this summer to be a hot summer, so that when the back to school fairs come around, they're doing more than just providing backpacks, Brother Reese. We need organizations to be honest. Like my organization has absolutely been honest. I don't hide behind the harm that I've done to women. I don't hide behind the harm that I've done to brothers. In my errors or my mistakes. I learned last year trauma is only defenseless against a loving community. So, if we can start identifying loving communities in the city of Austin, the group would like to be involved. like to mitigate violence and eliminate bias and help save and change lives. We are one of the only Narcan providers in the city, nominating lifesavers. We're doing more work in the Killeen area, in the Killeen area, getting in the middle of arguments between spouses, doing more youth mentoring, doing more business building. We're doing everything we can to help save and change lives. Again, you can find us, on the link tree, linktr.ee/WG512. I'm not no celebrity or nothing like that. I'm just a brother in the community. If you check the link tree, you can see links. You can see a myriad of links across different sectors of work, and you'll see why I'm breaking it down as simple as helping save and change lives. Again, Nikki, I appreciate it. Q, Denise, I appreciate the space to sit and talk with you all, but also to hear you all. It's been peace.
Thanks for
Can I
joining.
offer some pushback or a question? Do
Yeah.
you not believe in the death penalty? Is that what your reason is behind this? Do you not believe in the death penalty at all? Because I'm looking at this story with Ramiro Gonzalez, and this is a pretty heavy story. And
right, and I appreciate the pushback.
That, when
I appreciate the pushback.
Presenting the story, you should probably present that in full, because
that's what people like to say. But I'll say this: the white supremacy runs those media networks.
Hold on, can you hear me out? Because if you're saying, hey, this happened, let's get behind this guy. But if it was maybe presented in a way of this thing did happen. Since then, this person has done this thing, that thing, and that thing to rehabilitate, you know what I mean? And present it with the idea that you don't believe in the death penalty at all. It's a little more easier to digest than to someone say that. I'm thinking my brain, this is my assumption, and that's my fault to make this assumption, is that maybe that they were found guilty of something and they weren't really guilty. But if this person's admitting that this is what they did, that's a whole different type of discussion.
Admission is a whole different thing. Before Shevish, you respond to that, I just giving you my stance. I believe that the system is too flawed to even have a death penalty. How can you have a death penalty when the system is that flawed? But Shevish, go ahead. You can respond to that, sir.
I'm no longer interested if somebody digests the way that they feel. People have changed their lives in the worst of circumstances.
Right.
We can't always believe what's online, because what happens in the courtrooms are never spoken of factually. I was just arrested 2 weeks ago in Travis County for driving my vehicle with a salvage title, and it'll be told that I didn't want to take care of my responsibilities. Again, we could look online for what's said about Ramiro, but I spoke how I spoke, because if you looked into it, you might say, damn, he's done this. He's done this since he's gotten locked up. And I highlighted Ruben and then spoke to his innocence. It's not that I don't believe in the consequence. I think the Most High God has his death penalty. But where I'm against all state-sanctioned killings is because of what Q said, man. We've been charged to think that the state should have this authority to kill people. But they don't ensure that capital crimes have effective assistance of counsel. They don't ensure that. I mean, Rodney Reed's been on death row, and that's the thing too, Denise. I'll take a guy that's guilty, and I can name. I mean, I lost my pen pal Ivan Cantu in March. I could name 10 other guys who have been innocently killed on death row. And so, where I say this. I don't like the idea of life in prison, but why do we give this state in particular and other states in particular the authority to kill people in the creative ways that they want to, letting our community see this, and it desensitizes us to embrace the other stuff that's going on. I think we should put a complete halt to it. The the scriptures, I'm a firm believer in the Holy Bible, and not in the thread of Christianity, but in, simply in the invisible God, the God that pushes the wind and navigates the birds. And I think when there's been the heinous crimes, I think we as brothers and sisters should put our head together as community members and figure out the apt way to handle that, rather than our taxes. We were talking about taxes earlier. Our taxes go to fund a guy for 25 years that'll change his life and not get a second chance, or a woman that'll be on death row for 16 years and be absolutely innocent. I think we just need to put a halt to it, and that's not just here in America. That's in Iran. That's in Iraq. Let's take the authority from the state, which is a fictional character at the end of the day. Let's take the authority out of the state's hand and put the power back into the people's hand. And I'm not saying that we should live in lawless communities where folks should just shoot each other dead. But good men and good women say, okay, this heinous crime has happened. How can we, as the elders and the leaders in this community, ensure that there's a lesson and a blessing in this outcome? But when we look at a brother like Ramiro and we say, okay, he did this, we're denying him the transformation that it does take to be more than your worst day or your worst season. And as I could, when we talk about Ramiro, I could talk about Carl Buntion. I could talk about some other folks who were guilty. There's just, we think of the actus rea in guilt. We don't think about the mens rea, and the mens rea and the actus rea are the two elements of criminal law. The mens rea is the mindset. We don't know when somebody created this heinous crime where they fucked up, where they off their medicine. And these are not excuses, but these are circumstances. These are integral circumstances for us to understand. If this person was abused these years, if this person was thrown through foster care these years, if this person was denied work all these years, the scriptures say in Proverbs, oppression drive a wise man mad. Then I think we pull more people to understand that the state killing folks, an eye for an eye keeps us all blind. Like the state killing folks ain't doing nothing but keeping the state rich. You know what I'm saying? And again, I know that the Bible has a death penalty, has an ultimate consequence, but that's something that the community had, the rulership in the community has for. We've got rulership now that's not even reflective of the community. Especially when I think about where Nikki stayed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got all these middle-class black folks. You don't have no middle-class black representation in the city council. You know what I'm saying? Or in the judicialship. You know what I mean? So why are folks getting these ultimate consequences? And then again, as we lean into the death row, how many brothers and sisters are doing life in prison? That's also, I think we bring people in and we start mitigating this stigma that, oh, if you've done this crime, then you should be killed, because that is the agenda that America wants for us. America doesn't want us to forgive and to grant mercy and grant grace. And okay, let's maybe, I don't want to say this because I believe in shutting the whole system down, but okay, let's not kill Ramiro, but let's let him have a positive impact on the brothers that are on the row and in the units until he dies, until he naturally dies. Because we've got guys in there that are innocent that their bucket is only filled by the men who are guilty and who have changed their life. Change their life inside. I think we create better communities by providing second chances and clean slates for folks who have done their worst.
I agree with you. I don't agree with the death penalty. But my point in saying what I was saying, because your response was like, you don't care how people digest it, but you should. Because if you are trying to mobilize people for a cause, then how they receive it and how you present it is very important. So,
but Denise, you can't always control how a person digests.
Denise, I would say you don't really know me that well to say that. I care, but I'm saying I'm not the death penalty being the highest rank. I don't really care how someone swallows it. Again, the mission of abolition is a liberated fight that one has to choose, not one that Chevis will press into the person. And you not only jump into the space for death row, but you also say, okay, an abolitionist says, okay, we should disband that the same way we should disband the barriers in education. You know what I'm saying? So it's not that I'm just being ignorant or
but
whatnot.
jump in, Denise.
No.
But Denise, let me just say this before you jump in, Denise. You can control how you communicate that information, and you can articulate. You can be aware of how you're funneling out the information, but still how a person digests it. Then you still have limited control. But go ahead. What were you saying?
You have limited control, but my point in bringing this up is to have a little more awareness of something like that when you're thinking about, because with just to call it what it is, she was raped and killed. He is convicted of raping and killing someone. So something like that is immediately, for certain people who've been sexually assaulted, which is pretty much any woman you've ever met, it's automatically a trigger, right? So if I'm going into an article where you're like, hey, this person's on death row, which I don't agree with death row. I don't agree with any of that, right? But it's like, if I'm thinking about mobilizing to help a person get off death row, I think there's ways that you can present the information so that when I go to see this, I am kind of prepped for something like that. So
Denise, I have to push back on you though. You because you read one article and you took that article who you have no idea who wrote the article or the information or the facts behind it without any background research, and you've already come to a semi-conclusion without any additional information other than an initial reading that you heard from an unknown source.
Right,
but I appreciate it, Denise. I do.
I mean, that's what the average person does.
We've got to have women that speak to guys about. We're not just gonna let that go past. We're not just gonna overlook that. But I'm saying, after that's done, we all know that we've made some carnal mistakes. We all know that we've made some worse days. And what's the worst that can happen?
Right,
from taking that death warrant off of a guy and letting him sit in prison and continue to change lives inside of the unit.
And I'm with you on that piece. My only pushback is, again, I don't know anything about this. So I'm like, oh, let me hurry up and get the name, Ramiro Gonzalez. And I've seen two different types of articles. The first one, I'm like, okay, well, what is this? And it's saying what he did. And then there's another one where it's a more in a positive light. But still, nonetheless, I don't know enough information about this. I got a million other things going on in my life. If it's presented to me, and this is not me pushing back because I'm trying to say you're doing anything wrong, as so much I can tell that you're passionate about what you're saying. And I think the work that you're trying to do, just from what I'm gathering from you here, is that you're trying to do good work. So it's just like, moving forward, this could be helpful when trying to mobilize new people who know nothing about this person. You know,
and that's why I said, come out to, if you're able to come to DC, come out to DC. I didn't try to solicit Ramiro as this golden child, Eddie Murphy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I listed 4 people for a listener to look into, and
y'all about to get me talking again now.
You take the alleged crime of Ramiro Gonzalez, but then you look at Rodney Reed and similar things. Mm-hmm. But then you look at his brother Roderick and the mobilizing that it's taken to spotlight and highlight Rodney's innocence. And then you find that Rodney's innocent, you have more grace with Ramiro, because again, I've never raped, I've never sexually assaulted. But when you sit in that solitary cell and you make a conscious decision to change who you were, we as people deserve that kind of grace and forgiveness to give folks, even for their worst crimes. I just say, let's get off of, we've killed enough people. We're killing veterans on the street by not giving them VA assistance. We're killing our children by allowing YouTube and rap music to dominate their influences. We just look at this and say, okay, if somebody's done a carnal crime, let's keep this ultimate sacrifice. And I'm saying, let's take the authority from the state. Let's put it back into the community. Let's handle conscious crimes, conscious, knowledgeable crimes,
Right.
with the outcomes that the Most High God has said, by folks that we can trust. We cannot trust Greg Abbott. We cannot trust Ken Paxton. We cannot trust Dan Patrick. We couldn't trust Dan Patrick on ESPN. And if we handle more things in the community, I think organically the community gains more power, more awareness. But if it's always, oh, he's on death row or she's on death row, she's gotta be guilty, and then we look on the media report and we say, oh, that's the case. I mean, Carl Buntian, if you look him up, you'll hear Carl Buntian in the 90s was called, he was like the guy designated as the cop killer, white guy. I met Carl at his older age after he'd been on death row for 30 years. For me to be this liberated brother, to have this safe space with this older white guy who told me that he had been locked up for years. So when he got out that last time, he kept a gun on him because he was scared of getting jumped. He had been raped and beat up in prison. He told me of a traffic stop that happened where the officer didn't want to just deal with the driver. He also wanted to berate the passenger. This is against the Constitution. As the officer got Carl out, talking that SHIT, the first thing Carl could think of was defending himself. And before that officer took that pistol out and shot him, he shot first. This is not a cop killer. This is a scared, broken, disadvantaged person.
And how many times have we heard that argument on the opposite side for an officer or another person who was, I was afraid for my life, so I shot. Like, so how come we can't be granted the same liberty to at least examine the story in the same way as when cops tell that story? So all I'm saying, Denise, the only thing I was pushing back on you with, Denise, is if there's somebody on death row and you look up their story, what do you expect the media story to say?
The worst possible
story.
When I hear
somebody being on death row and I hear someone advocating for it, my first assumption is this person's probably innocent. Honestly, that's just my first assumption. This person's probably innocent. But then when I read an article and the article I'm reading says that they did admit to the crime, then it's like, oh, now, like I said, I don't agree with death row.
You believe in admissions? Yeah. How reliable do you believe those admissions are?
That part too.
I mean,
how many times have you been coerced to give a fucking admission?
And Denise, there's more story to it. He didn't just, it's not that he just raped and killed her. It was his drug dealer's girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? So again, if we don't address those roots, we got these dope boys that we love to hold up in the community, but we don't have any checks and balances to make sure they're protecting the women in their lives. So stuff like this happens.
Right, but
and we still dance and party, blase blah. And we never hold those who strike the roots before there's a murder. We only hold the one that committed the act. And I'm saying it was much more guilt to be shed than just Ramiro's. But if Ramiro could sit on the same run as Rodney Reed, Will Spear, who got his death row warrant vacated last year, I'm telling you, a brother can look himself in the face and say, I don't hate you no more. I don't hate you no more. And if we can start inspiring people to change their lives like that, we can organically heal relationships. We can organically save our children. We are subconsciously letting our children fight and curse and do drugs and hit vapes at school because we have no control on the influences that come up come to them per the media, blah, blah, blah. We have to put the power back into the community, and I say, really see the state for what it is. I tell people all of the time that we have a constitutional right to travel. I could prove it to you. You look at the Texas Transportation Code, Section 1 to Section 550. It only speaks to carriers and commercial vehicles. But we're pressed to conform into getting driver's licenses and insurances, no matter how much it costs us. And so my lady, who is my child's mother, she likes to call me irresponsible because I don't want to simply lie down to what other people do. But I'm like, I can't afford it. That's the honest truth. That doesn't take away my right to drive, my right to travel. And so again, if we lessen up on the influence that the media and the government, Big Brother, has put into us, I think us as community members, we can address our affiliations and our debts, whether that be fiscal or social, our debts together, and figure out how we as neighbors, we can create the solutions that we seek. And if that's taking a guy who's raped 3 women or raped 1 woman or killed 1 woman, and we end his life in the community, that's a different resolve than him being on death row for 20 years. And us denying that he could change his life or that she could change his life. We could have done this back in 2001. We could have done this in 2001. But I think we need to get back to God. We need to, again, and I'm not saying this under the guise of Christianity, but we need to get back to God, and we need to get back to his son and understand the power of forgiveness, understand the power of grace. Lamentations 3 says the Most High God's mercies are new every morning. So how about if we've got new mercies every morning, and a brother and a sister who've done the worst? Because ain't nothing like being around a bunch of women who say, I can't stand that bitch who don't take care of her kids. But if we learn that she never knew how to take care of her kids, she never had sisters to help her take care of the kids, we learn all this, we say, damn, she's worth an opportunity to regain her custody.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about saving and changing lives. You know what I'm saying? Saving and changing lives, rather than letting the oppression continue, and then us being desensitized to what the power that we have and what we can do. And again, for every guilty man, for every guilty woman, we've got 5 or 10 innocent men and women. And that's why I'm saying, we've got women and men in Iran and Iraq getting killed for simply speaking up. We need to take the power from the state, put it back into the people, and turn this thing around. If a guy's that much of a community safety risk, okay, keep him in the walls, but don't deny him the opportunity to get schooling. Don't deny him the opportunity to get trades. And again, under the title, the courage to be disliked, that's why I was coming from and saying, Denise, I don't really mind how it's digested, because I'm no longer speaking for approval. I don't mobilize for folks to like what I said or simply join my mission. I speak up in the name of liberation. In liberation. And so wherever you jump in with the work that I do or others do, you have to face that door of liberation. Will you take the entire catalog of what America is doing and hold them accountable for it, rather than saying, oh, that personally impacts me, so I want revenge? Against an eye for an eye makes us both blind. We need forgiveness, we need grace, we need mercy. I could always say stuff better, but we could always do better.
It's not, see, what you're missing is in my opinion, what I'm interpreting now is that you think that this is about whether you're liked or not, or something like that, or just getting people to join in. What I'm saying is this: if you are doing something that I think is good, but it could be more effective, if I and seeing that this could probably be more effective, like when you use that antidote, when you were talking about the brothers and you gave this whole breakdown on this story about how they were in a car and this is what happened and this is what led to that moment, then I'm more inclined when I go and read whatever random article I pick, because who knows what article I'm going to pick and how the writer's going to present this. I now am armed with this information and I can dissect this on my own, because now I have to go do this research on my own, because I'm not going to DC. And most people are not going to DC. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, hear me out. So what I'm saying is, when you present that type of information with it, then people can go into doing their research with this information. It's just much easier to mobilize people with this extra information. Because I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm gonna tell you like this from my own personal perspective. I'm gonna let you go, Q. I got other things to do. I have bigger fish to fry. I have things that might take a bigger priority in my life than something like this. But with context, and then it's like, okay, with this context, I'm like, okay, I can be invested in this thing. But if it's just like, oh, look up this name, and then I have to go do a whole bunch of research on whatever it is, and I'm seeing that this person committed whatever crime, versus just getting a little bit of extra story before that might be a little more helpful. That's all I'm saying.
I hear you, Denise.
Hold on, Chevis. Let me get in, Chevis. Let me get in. I disagree with you, Denise, because the context without the right mental perspective is not going to make a difference. What Chevis has been talking about is us having the right mindset and how we approach people, innocent or guilty. If we have a mindset of redemption and how we deal with people, then we will be open enough to understand context differently. He can give you all the context in the world and explain it, but if your mindset is conditioned to listen to the first clip that you see, it's not going to make a difference. You got to change your mind first to even receive that information, or it's not going to make a difference.
I think we need to keep having the conversation. I mean, I'm not messed up by anything you said, Denise, and I don't think I'm missing the point. I mean that when I say, you may think I'm trying to mobilize. Perhaps I'm simply trying to inform. To inform. But if I was mobilizing, it would have been maybe more of a dedicated conversation where I would have implored more about Ramiro. But in that space where, even in what you last said, you're holding me to that one person. I said Ramiro first. I said Ruben. I said Rodney. I said Melissa. And so anybody listening would have taken those four names, and even if you would have looked up Ramiro first or last, you would have seen the other three are innocent. And that could have led to,
we're having this type of conversation, right? The first name you say, so I'm like, oh, I'm like, let me just go look up this one thing. So at least out of one of the things that you said, I'm listening to you, is compelling. That's just the first name I so happen to look up. While I'm looking up that name, I'm not listening to the other 3 or 4 names. And it's not even about whether he's innocent or guilty. My only point is, it's so much easier to digest something that heavy with a little context before going into it.
But it don't even have to be heavy, Denise. Let's go back to the Caitlin Clark. Let's go back to the Caitlin Clark argument.
What's not heavy?
People want to make a decision before they've even done any homework. They don't want to do homework. They don't want to dig in. They don't actually want to follow what it is that they have an opinion about, but they just want to have this strong, divisive opinion, and they don't even watch the WNBA. That's my issue with the whole Caitlin Clark thing in the first place, and it translates over to this. Me and you can have a strong opinion of something. We haven't done any homework at all. We haven't looked at transcripts.
You know what's heavy about Ramiro?
Most of these order courts, court orders, they're listed, because I go through this stuff all day, every day, but more so in Illinois with people that I know. These court cases are sitting up there. There's open documents and state, but people don't read the whole thing. We see a clip. We'll watch the small news clip and be like, oh, I knew something was wrong with him. And we it's so much more information, but we don't even care to dig about it.
Man, right there on that.
That's it. We don't care. We don't care.
Right, Denise,
there, Q. Denise, you said it. Denise, you said you have more important things than this, and that's okay.
What
So
I'm
soon,
okay.
soon,
y'all are not
soon as the
hearing out.
narrative came out about George Floyd having a cocaine problem, having a drug problem, we easily forgot that he was simply
Yeah,
a
the
big
media
brother that
can
was
twist
taken
the
advantage
narrative
of by
pretty
the
quickly.
police.
They
You
can
know
do
what I'm
that.
saying?
They can.
Like again, I don't want a lawless community. I don't want to let folks get away with stuff. I
Yeah.
want us as community members to find better ways
Right.
to hold people accountable. And I think more and more of us deserve grace, mercy, forgiveness, second chances. One of the heaviest things about Ramiro, and probably why I said it first, they won't let him donate his liver.
Mm-hmm.
And he's simply trying to help. You know what I'm saying? Like having boosted his spirit up and found Jesus Christ and you know these things and been sorry for what he's done. They can't even let him blase blah. So it becomes a whole human rights thing. And so that's why that I feel what you're saying, though, and perhaps I could have gone a little deeper, but again, I was going on a
You were
thread
listing
of
off a few things. That was just my
yeah.
again, the only reason why I'm presenting this is because I did see the more positive written articles, and in those more positive articles, they still said this is a thing that he did. I seen the more negative ones, and they still said this was a thing that he did. My only thing is like what you're saying is he's a positive influence on some people who've been in there. That you like those type of things, like going into it, hearing that type of thing, and then going to read this. And I'm not saying like, you know, semantics. Okay, you're mobilizing whatever. You're informing us, whatever the case may be. The more type of stories and antidotes and things like that you add, the easier it is to go into something like this, because this is a very heavy crime. That's just the truth of the matter. Anyone who read this article or reads on this will say that and will feel that way. So I don't, again, agree with capital punishment. I don't think that that's necessary. I would love to see a world where we would do things differently, but also I would like to see some of that stuff in place, because to Q's earlier point for something we might talk about next week is, do we want to get rid of the cops? Hell no, until I see some other thing put in place already actively working, or at least on its way to that point, before we just dismantle the whole thing. Because I can tell you, y'all seen Purge. If they get rid of the cops and there's no one to come and, you know, to help or whatever, protect or serve when it comes time, people will lose their shit.
The sale of guns is gonna go up 3,000%.
But let me dig into that. Let me dig into that though.
Hold on, Chevis. Pause for just a second. Chevis, Denise.
That's another
Nikki,
episode.
Hold on, Nikki. You had your hand up. Nikki, what did you want to say, Nikki?
It was
Sorry.
It was something that you had said, Q, and I was going to piggyback off of something that you had said, and
I was talking about context, and people don't
you
care
know,
about context.
you know, and
people don't want to do the research.
And I mean, people don't want to do the research. Actually, people don't. I mean, and we could. So to the point of, you
People
know,
don't read.
being okay with not being liked. You know, how I've spent years of my life, decades of my life, trying to lead a horse to water, but you can't make that motherfucker drink. You just can't. So you can present all the information in 97 different ways and languages and colors and flavors and all those things, but you're never going to make everybody happy. You're never going to speak to everybody in the language in which they understand. But we have the due diligence to do our own research. And to my point, you know, the thing that I posted down here is, how do our traumas affect how we process information? This is really, 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 really critical, because our traumas will absolutely be our very first fucking barrier, boundary, filter to how we take information. And I want to say, because, you know, Denise, you had said when you started this conversation with Chevis that, you know, I think you said maybe all women or most women, you know, have been in a situation with sexual assault and rape. I have not. So I don't have the knee-jerk response to a rapist. I don't have the same knee-jerk response to, you know, people who carry out certain types of heinous crimes on women. We have to look past our trauma to see into what we need to see into. This has been taking place with the Diddy conversation. This has been taking place with the Cassie conversation, with the abuse in the hallway conversation. Like even the black teacher who was letting the girls braid his hair, the traumas that spoke through women who were like, "Oh my God, get away from your fucking kids."
Yes.
I want
Yes.
that man to be my kid's teacher. We need more men like him to be our kid's teacher. But
Mhm.
we have knee-jerk responses because of traumas, and those traumas create filters. And if those filters are there before we can even get to the internet and do unbiased research,
Mm.
it's pointless. But how many elements of our life are we participating in not doing the research? We're still eating the McDonald's. We're still drinking the liquor. We're still having unprotected sex. We're still going from bed to bed to bed to bed to bed. We're still taking medication. We're still getting fucking vaccines. We're still doing all of these things when we know. But it's just easy to go with knee-jerk responses. I am
Mhm.
an advocate for death penalty in certain situations, but in listening to this conversation with you guys, it definitely brings something to my spirit that is worth reevaluating, because I do believe in rehabilitation. I'm the queen of fucking rehabilitation. I believe in rehabilitation. I do believe in grace. I feel funny about forgiveness, but forgiveness is a personal thing, right? But there's so much more work that can be done once we get to the root, because at the end of the day, that's what's fucking us up in every decision that we make. And we don't usually come into this until we're 30, 40, 50 years old, and we fucked everything up, where we might not get a chance at redemption or salvation or, making amends, with people that we've hurt in our past. Like, we have to look at our part in this, right? When it comes to how we research information and what we read and the sources from in which we get this information, and then what filter are we reading this with? Because if the filter is already tainted, how it goes in doesn't matter what Sheva says to you. That filter's there. Doesn't matter what the next person says or the next person says. That filter is just there. And I don't think there's anything necessarily consciously malicious in that. It's a fucking defense mechanism. It's how we protect ourselves. It's how we've been taught to survive our fucking trauma that we couldn't talk about, or we couldn't share, or we were shameful or embarrassed or scared or whatever the case may be. But that shit is the filter. And I say this loudly from somebody who speaks loudly and who doesn't mind being disliked and who's oftentimes called crazy and lunatic and stupid and ignorant and uneducated and all these fucking things. Like, it's, there's so much more to it than just how the person gives you the information. That's just the seed. It's up to us, the responsible party. If we're going to have an opinion on something, I'm a firm believer in you better have your facts behind it. Then you better have done unbiased research both ways.
And Nikki, to that point, I might say something how I said it, and Denise wouldn't know me like this, right? I've come back from prison and turned my pain into power. I've had 73 clients around the state who ain't rich, who ain't doing nothing spectacular. We just taking it one day at a time, right? I'm in the Kyle MTC unit with a leadership class called Pillars. We just graduated 35 guys to come back into the community, learning how to inspire, share vision, model the way, encourage the heart. I've got pen pals on death row from here to Idaho. You know what I'm saying? So as I do this whole wraparound work, you're not gonna have me isolate one guy or one gal. I'm gonna say, man, we've got a freedom agenda. Okay, maybe he doesn't get out, but we don't kill him. You know what I'm saying? We don't kill him because again, when we let TDCJ kill somebody, again, Denise, you've never been there. You've never been there. I watch Carl Bunty and I watch Ivan. They abuse these folks on the way. This is different than the community coming to pick up a guy. Hey, brother, it's your turn, and bring him in the community and shooting him down. You know what I'm saying? And that's a quicker way. We're talking about 30 years of taxpayer income funding this pathway only for the state to abuse him on the way to the gurney, and we don't learn there's a lesson there. We think the blessing is somebody dying.
I think
No,
y'all are
no.
missing everything that I said, because
I
I
don't think
have
so.
never said I believed in the death penalty. That's number one.
Yeah, nobody said that.
I never, I've looked at more than one article. The first article I saw was a more positive article, and then I clicked on another article, which was a more negative article. So I've seen different articles just in this short period of time. And even with my past experiences, that still did not affect whether I think that the man should get death penalty or not. Whether I had whether I had a reaction to it or not, it still it didn't create a bias in how I think that he should be treated. So my personal issues didn't come into play with how I think this man should be treated. What I am saying, and all I am only saying, is having a little more information before going into this is just a little more helpful when you're trying to get things out there. If you for it to be more effective, and it's in a particular case like this, that's all I'm talking about. Is I think that this technique could be more effective when you're speaking to issues like this, because I do believe in what you're doing. My stepdad was in and out of jail, so I already know what that is like. I already know what that is. I know what it is to have someone who has a problem, who's in and out of jail, and I think that people should be given several chances. And I think that prison in a lot of ways is not the way, because they are not rehabilitated. So I also have a little bit of background when it comes to people going to jail and going to prison. I've also experienced people who have been killed in very violent ways. And I don't necessarily I think that the people who do the murdering need a lot of help and go through a lot of things. And I've said this on the show plenty of times. And I've talked to y'all about this, one organization called is like On the Other Side, which is specifically helps people who have committed crimes like that, because there's obviously something there that happened that would make a person be able to do something like that. So I think there are people out there who have biases and therefore treat people a certain way and decide to make certain decisions because of that. But what I'm saying is, realistically, when you're dealing with people, you have this much time to say something. Like I said, that other story you told, it was just so much more helpful. I was even more engaged in that. So if I go do research, I'm more locked in. Not everybody's going to be like that. Some people are going to do whatever they want. What I'm saying is, I believe in what you're doing. This could be more effective. Take it if you want. If you don't think it won't be, don't take it. But I
appreciate
absolutely am on your side as far as what you're trying to do. And even with this person, I'm just saying, you go read that for the first time, it's going to shake you up a little bit. And especially with there being so many different conflicting stories of people telling from whatever angle they want to tell it from. And then you then have to take that information, process it, and try to figure out what part of it is the truth, while you have a whole other life going on. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, yeah. What I mean, and I see what you're saying, Denise. I see what you're saying. I mean, there's certain things I agree with. There's certain things that I think we will agree to disagree when it just comes to people's reception of information, from a general perspective. But that's cool. I mean, I appreciate all of it. What I will say is, Chevis, I observe you from a distance, and I will say I appreciate you, sir. I see the work that you do. I see the things that you do, and it's keep posting it, keep people aware of it. I appreciate it's you work in an area where most of us, we don't have the marathon endurance for. And that's the thing that frustrates me the most. But I know it's just a common thing that we'll step into that world for a second when we get angry or upset, or we get this strong temporary passion. We'll step in and we step back out. But you stay in it. And I appreciate you for that. I appreciate your awareness. I appreciate your transparency, even within your own self-reflection. I'm paying attention, and when I see something, I share it, and I just say I appreciate you and I respect you for that. Keep doing the work that you're doing. And
Likewise, brother.
I'll leave
Likewise.
it
We
at
in this
that.
together. You know what I'm saying? We in
Yeah,
this together. I appreciate the recognition, brother. For real.
absolutely.
I think, as y'all know, I certainly, and I don't say this with any ego, but I've certainly found the courage to do whatever I do without concern of being liked or being supported. Me and Nikki done sat in the garage a whole bunch, and I done shared, damn, it ain't gonna never be like this. It could never be like this. Fuck it. I gotta keep showing up. I gotta keep learning. I got
Yes.
this little boy. I gotta learn how to not be just Chevis, but be daddy and all these things. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate the piece. I love the space of collective leadership. And all five of us here, we share our inputs. I certainly don't share just so I can be heard, just so I can be felt supported. You know what I'm saying? And so from with a little bit of that, I don't really care how it's digested. But sister, you're absolutely right. When brothers speak, we need to be cognizant. We need to be the impact. And that's peace what you shared. I appreciate the input.
It's
straight up.
All love,
straight up.
by the way. It's all love. Because
Straight
me, I appreciate what you're doing. Having a step parent that was in and out of jail and seeing that he would be trying on and off drugs and really needing real rehabilitation, and jail was not doing it.
Yeah.
Trust me, I support what you are doing 1,000%. 1,000%.
So awesome. This and like I said, even I don't know how far Nikki goes, but I understand my assignment or my gift is to just expound on the conversation. There's been times where we've had conversations like, all right, what are we gonna do? And I'm like, well, I ain't gonna do my job is to have the conversation. Maybe that will spark you to do whatever it is God called you to do. But my I appreciate people knowing where their place is. I understand where my place is, and I appreciate other people who walk in a space that is not my space. I can appreciate it and I can support it. So, all right, an hour later, this went from a good conversation.
I guess we got past the closing remarks segment. Got past the closing remarks segment. That segment is long gone.
It went from a good conversation.
That segment is long gone.
Great conversation to a memorable conversation.
Welcome to Freehinkers.
Absolutely. So I appreciate all of that. All right. Hey, we all got it out. If y'all enjoyed any of this, come see us next week, and we gonna keep it going. That's it.
All right, y'all. Thanks everybody for being here, and we will see y'all next Tuesday in person.
Bye,
y'all. Absolutely.
Safe travels, y'all. Peace.
All right, we out.